Earlier this month, the Wall Street Journal revealed that a $400 million cash payment from the U.S. government to Iran in January coincided with the release of 5 American prisoners from Iranian custody. Still, President Obama was adamant that the cash transfer was not ransom.
We do not pay ransom. We didn't here, and we won't in the future. Precisely because if we did, then we would start encouraging Americans to be targeted, much in the same way that some countries that do pay ransom end up having a lot more of their citizens being taken by various groups.
But yesterday, the U.S. government acknowledged for the first time that the $400 million was used as, quote, leverage to get the Americans back.
When you're inside that 24-hour period and you already now have concerns about the end game in terms of getting your Americans out, it would have been foolish, imprudent, irresponsible for us not to try to maintain maximum leverage. If you're asking me, was there a connection in that regard at the end game, I'm not going to deny that.
Joining us now for a reaction is from Washington is David Tafuri, an attorney and former State Department official. And also in Washington, Rebecca Henricks, a national security expert and a fellow at the Hudson Institute. So, David, if it's not related and the cash and the hostage release was merely a coincidence, then why 2 weeks later is it related because it's leverage to guarantee the release?
Well, I'm really glad that the spokesman called this leverage, because that's really what it is. He is admitting that they are related. They were linked. Both transactions were linked. However, this was not a ransom payment. We had an obligation to make this payment as a settlement of a tribunal case at The Hague. We were going to have to pay it anyway. We just used the payment as leverage to make sure we got our American prisoners back. Well, that's not paying ransom. That's smart tactics.
Okay, well, I wouldn't call it smart, and I don't know if we had to pay it. The last 5 presidents didn't pay it, and they didn't think it should have been paid. But you know,
nobody disputes the fact.
His story changed. Let me back up. Kirby's story changed. So why should we believe him now when at first he said there was no link, and now he said there was a link because the cash plane didn't take off until the hostages were back? Aren't I right?
Incorrect to say there was no link. There was definitely a link. However, this is not a ransom payment. These were 2 unrelated transactions that were linked together by the State Department smartly to use the payment as leverage to secure the release of our Americans.
Okay, that sounds like gobbledygook. Rebecca, I have a definition of ransom, okay? Because I'm a simple man, even more simple than Bill O'Reilly, some people would say. It says ransom, money that is paid in order to free someone who has been captured.
Right.
That's what Kirby just admitted they did.
Bottom line, we would not have gotten our American hostages back if we had not given them the $400 million. And remember, that $400 million, that was a down payment. It's actually $1.7 billion. And if you want to talk about who owes who what, the Iranian government owes billions of dollars to families of victims of terrorism that they are responsible for. I mean, right now, the Iranian government is going to take that money that the Obama administration handed over to them, forked over to them, and they're going to use it to fund Assad, who's just murdering men, women, and children. It's just a humanitarian disaster, and it's going to use it to fund Hezbollah. That is what that money is for. It is a shame, and it was highly irresponsible. We all know it's ransom. The Iranian people know it's a ransom, and they're going to continue to actually take American hostages. They've taken 2 more since that deal because they know that there's a bounty on the heads of Americans.
You know, that's a great point, David. The president, in that famous press conference when he said it wasn't ransom, also said we don't pay ransom because it encourages bad actors to take more hostages. So if it wasn't ransom, then why have the Iranians taken 3 more American hostages since the payment was made?
He's right about the fact that we should not pay ransom. However, the process of getting prisoners released is not a clean, nice business. We're not dealing with Boy Scouts here. We're dealing with a tyrannical regime that took our Americans hostage, imprisoned them under irrelevant, improper charges, and so we needed to get them back. We used this payment as leverage. What you have to look at is the tribunal
So we
case
paid
was coming
them
to a
because we
conclusion.
needed to get the hostages back. That sounds like ransom. I think you just admitted it.
That's a ransom.
You just said it.
It can't be ransom if it's a payment you had to make anyway, and we had to make it anyway because we settled this
We
case.
only had
and we
to make
agreed
it anyway
to pay
because
this money.
Obama was the first president in 30 years to agree to make it.
That's
the
not
United-
accurate. That
Yes,
is
it is.
not accurate. You have to look
Carter,
at the tribunal case. Nobody
Reagan,
disputes.
Bush, Clinton, and the other Bush, neither president wanted to pay this money. All of a sudden, Obama says, oh, we have to pay it, so we paid it. You didn't have to do that.
Jesse, nobody disputes the fact that this tribunal case was coming to a conclusion. Did it take a long time? Yes, but it was coming to its conclusion, and there was about to be a judgment against the U.S. that was going to be for a lot more. Nobody has disputed that fact. We settled it for less, for $1.7 billion. The $400 million was the first payment, and we made that payment contingent upon getting our Americans back, and that's what's important.
Yes,
the result is important, which is we got Americans back that
back.
should have never been in jail in Iran in the first place.
I agree. No, we're in agreement on that. It's just the tactics were wrong, and I think the American public sees it. Now, I think to myself, if President Obama says if you like your health care, you can keep it, and then that's a lie, why should we believe it when he says it's not ransom? I mean, this guy doesn't have a great track record, especially when it comes to negotiations, Rebecca. I mean, this is the same president that did the Bergdahl trade, that did the debt ceiling fiasco. This guy has not done well when the chips are down.
No, I mean, basically what President Obama does is he goes to the Iranians and he says, what is it that we can do for you?
Right.
What can we do for you? And then they give him a laundry list, and then he bends over backwards to figure out how he can actually deliver on everything that the Iranians want. There's nothing that the Iranians can say that they want that it seems that the Obama administration is not willing to provide them.
Right.
And so we've got several months left of this administration, and the Iranians are going to try to wring it out for all they can get.
That's right,
and
Rebecca. And who knows what's going to happen in the next 3 months? We could have more deals. We could be bribing, the guy in North Korea. Who knows what's coming next? David, Rebecca, thank you guys very much.